Welcome to this episode on the Multimedia Sherpa channel. We're going to look at the good points and the bad points of the content aware tool in Photoshop, and the good ways to use it and the not so good ways to use it. So let's have a look at that. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is in this picture of a shark and some fish going around it, what we're going to do is we're going to remove this fish using the content aware tool. Now there's a good way to do this and a bad way to do it. The bad way to do it is kind of cutting things too close. If we use the magnetic lasso tool and quickly go around this fish here, what you should see is, whilst that tool's great for getting kind of close to the object you're selecting, once we've actually selected it, he says, let me just go and do that again because I just messed that up. See that tool that kind of goes right round to where we need it to be. There we go. We right click, go to fill and content aware, and all of a sudden Photoshop does its magic and gets rid of it, which looks great until we deselect that line, and then we can see there's kind of a little outline of what's going on with where the fish was. What's happened is basically the tool is super sensitive and it's really good, but it's not kind of inch perfect. So what we're going to do, if you actually step backward and then kind of give yourself a little bit of room around the fish using the normal lasso tool, then Photoshop can calculate what's going on around the fish and use that information to make the tool, the content aware fill look a bit better. So here we go. If we go to fill content aware and then deselect that, it looks a lot better. And you know, a keen eye will be able to tell actually there probably used to be a fish there, but at the moment for your everyday punter you're not going to be able to see that. So that's a good use of the content aware tool. If we go into a bit more of an advanced picture, here we see we've got this cute dog on this background which looks, it's very sweet. Excuse me. It's very sweet, but here what we're going to do is we're going to get rid of the dog because it's not so sweet, and what we've got to do is we've got to get rid of the shadow and the dog, because otherwise if we just get rid of the dog we're left with a shadow on the floor, and it all starts to get a bit kind of spooky. So what we'll do is we'll quickly highlight around the dog, highlight around the shadow. I say you want to keep fairly close to it but give it a little bit of room, so that Photoshop can kind of calculate what's going on around. Right click, fill, use content aware, click OK, it does its magic, and you can see we've got rid of it. It's pretty good. It's not quite as good as it was with the shark because there's more going on in the background, he says. I don't know why that came up. Let's get rid of it. So you can see there's a lot of kind of blurry bits here, which to the untrained eye you won't see straight away, but we can see it. So what you might want to do, and I'm going to do this very quickly, you'll need to spend more time, is use the sharpen tool and actually go in and start adjusting some of the kind of blurry points that have been taken in from the background. As I say, I'm going to do a very quick rush job on it, but you can see here it kind of brings in parts of that image to be focused. I say very rushed. If you were going to do it you'd spend more time on it, and we'll do a tutorial on the correct way to use the sharpen tool a bit later on. But I say to the untrained eye you can kind of get away with that. Finally, if you wanted to use the content aware tool on this particular image you would be barking up the wrong tree, excuse the pun, but if we were to say let's get rid of this cat, the content aware tool isn't the right one for us to use. It's going to end up with something that's pretty horrifying. He says that's pretty, yeah, that's awful. So there are things, you know, there are ways, and that, you know, that was an obvious one that was always going to happen. But it just goes to show that, you know, with Photoshop you can have all the skills in the world, but you need to make sure that you use the right tools for the right job. Otherwise you end up with some results that can often, you know, have adverse results, basically, like this one. Let's have another look at that because it's quite funny. Right, okay, so that's the end of this one. Very quick tutorial, but hopefully you've seen the good points and the bad points of the content aware fill tool. Cool, cheers.